One's dinghy is not something to mess around with, especially when you're a liveaboard sailor full-time and you're at anchor. It's your lifeline to food and supplies, to society and friends, to stable psychological well-being. So if your dinghy starts floating away, there goes your food chain supply line. Kiss goodbye to your friends and girlfriends and social life. And say hello to a life of abandonment and isolation.
And if that's the predicament that you find yourself in?
Well, you either are screwed or you may find yourself lucky. That's if you try your luck flagging a dinghy passing by.
Maybe you'll make a new friend.
Then there's local friends that are passing by all the time.
Yes, fishermen. You'll be in with the tribe, then guaranteed good deals on seafood. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
I haven't lost my dinghy yet. So, how does one lose one's dinghy?
There's really only two ways. It gets stolen, or drifts away. It's more often the latter, although I've heard of many stories of theft.
But that's somewhat convenient to put the blame on local folks rather than taking responsibility for your ineptitude. So, how do you keep your dinghy from being stolen? One solution is camouflage.
Wipe the shine off of it. Dirty it up. Scrape and scratch it. If you were a thief, would you target the sharp, shiny speedster you could easily sell to feed your family? Or grab the old shoddy one that barely seems to float? You can also downgrade to a 2.5 horsepower outboard. That's much less desirable. So here's a few tips. When you land, find a secure landing where you either pay or consume at a bar or restaurant.
And when you beach your dinghy, go somewhere busy, where there's people and stuff. And make sure to drag it high enough, away from the rising tide.
Find someone to watch it. Try to offer friendship with a drink or food. Make yourself to be liked. Don't just pay off with cold cash and a colonious attitude.
Remember, you are a visitor, so be humble and kind. You'll need to trust, so make yourself trustworthy also.
So far, this approach has worked for me here in Cape Verde for more than 2 years. Just once I had my oars stolen by kids on the island of Sal in a busy tourist section. I should have promised the kids a good tip and more for their surveillance. My mistake.
And how does a dinghy just drift away?
On the beach, your dinghy could simply float away with the tide if it's not on higher ground. And if it's tied up somewhere like a dock, a friend's boat, or your own boat, tie it up good with a solid, secure line.
And know your knots.
And this is where I messed up. This is how I lost my dinghy. More than once. One time I just forgot to tie it to a cleat on my boat. Too busy and infatuated with my guests. Luckily, that time it was in the middle of the day, and a friend saw and fetched it before it got too far. Another time was here. I paddled with difficulty to Peter's boat against a strong wind. I thought I tied it up well.
But when I went out for a pee, it was like floating away 50 meters away in the dark.
Me and Peter managed to get it just before it smashed into the rocky coast. And then there was this last time, when I really lost it. I went to see my new friends Dave and Sarne on this boat. It's part of a program called Biosfera. This boat with a small crew patrolled the protected areas caring for wildlife such as turtles, sharks and whales.
So check this out. These guys are saving turtles and
the seabirds too.
Yeah.
On the natural reserve of Santa Luzia and Ilho Raso, Ilho Branco. It's a place where nobody can go. Just us go there, work with the nature to protect them about the fishermen who catch them to eat.
We'll do a tour of what's the name of this boat?
Jair Mora.
Jair Mora. Okay. So check this out. This is Dave's room. This is Dave's room. This boat was part of Sea Shepherd?
Sea Shepherd crew. They donate this boat for us.
Yep.
Because they like the work we do.
Uh-huh.
And normally when we don't have this boat, we go to the other islands in that little boat, that little dinghy.
Yeah.
We cross the ocean to go to the other islands to bring our personnel, bring the material, food and water, because that is a desert island, don't have nothing. So we go with that dinghy. But now Sea Shepherd see our work we do, protecting the sea, and they donate us this boat to do our work in here.
Isn't that great, man? It's good. Sea Shepherd's cool, and they donated, and these guys are continuing the great work here to protect the naturaleza. Natureza.
So I tied up my dinghy to this line. I had a short line tied to a carabiner someone had given me. I clipped it on, but I didn't like the knot. So I tied a bowline knot. Now, a bowline knot is only good when it has constant tension. Otherwise, it can loosen up and there you go. The invitation went into the evening as we became more friendly, exchanging sea stories.
And he showed me around, and we had a good time here, and all of a sudden when I went to go home, my dinghy disappeared. I went to step into my dinghy and oh no, it was gone.
Dave, Sarde and I looked across the other pontoon, assuming it would have gotten stuck there. But no. Eder, one of the marina security guys, happened to be by. We're good friends. He quickly understood what had happened.
I have finished my shift in work. I found Alex and guys from Biosfera talking about something about the work. And in the, I think 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, Alex Where is my boat?
Dave got the Biosphera Zodiac started.
And we all jumped in and dashed downwind at full speed. Now you must imagine this was at night. It looked something like this. Eder had a flashlight and was scanning the dark bay. The wind was howling and waves splashed us with the stinging bites. We hovered around and saw nothing nearby. We started going down the coast, but there was no way it could have drifted so far. But then, even further down the coast, Eder noticed small lights off the road. And then he saw it. The dinghy was on a beach.
We found that boat in one beach, covered in leather.
I couldn't see it at first, but then, yes. We got as near as we could, and my guys and the guys on the street yelled back and forth. It was impossible to land there. The tide was low, and the beach was laced with sharp rocks. The nearest place to get ashore was at the fish processing plant.
There, the security guys let us in.
And out on the road to meet the other guys who rescued my dinghy. There were 3 guys on bicycles. They told us they'd seen the dinghy drift by, so they lifted it up to safety and called the police. I praised the guys and wanted to give them a reward for their help, but I had little cash on me. I took their phone numbers and promised to call the next day.
But now, how would we get the dinghy back on the water? There was no way there on that beach.
Tide was low, waves were crashing on rocks everywhere. So Eder called a pickup truck taxi. We easily loaded the dinghy on the truck's bed, and we were off.
Dave and Sarnay met us at the beach near the marina dock.
Dave paid the taxi $3 and helped me and Eder put the dinghy in the water. And the engine started. I thanked everyone and made my way back to my Galopin, hoisted the dinghy on the davit and climbed inside. I was soaked and shaken up, but relieved.
The guys who have found that dinghy it's good people.
I can only say thank you so much, my friend, man.
You are a good man, so you're welcome.
The next day I called the guys and invited them out for a drink at the floating bar. Only 2 of them came, named Lau and Didi. They had never been here. I offered them drinks, but they were hesitant. But my friend here, Miguel, had none of it. 2 beers pronto, he said. We had more drinks and a bit of food. Then I gave Lau 4,000 escudos. Asked him if that was okay. It's about $40. He said, of course. He's super happy. Then he told me about his job. He worked at the fish plant. And he was really pleased with the money I gave him because he only earns $100 per month.
Per month, man?
$100 per month. So then I reached into my pocket and slipped him another 2,000 escudos, about $20. I introduced the guys to my sailor friends, enjoyed the music, and we continued drinking until the bar closed. Now, in the end, Paige told me the rule for rescuing a vessel or part of a vessel here in Cape Verde is that the rescuer has the right to ask for a 15% cash value of the overall estimated price. Now I feel a little bad. I guess those guys deserve more. Well, I'll have to invite them out again for beers.
Because now, guess what? We're friends.
It was great to have you along on this voyage. Give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you feel any value in this series. Me and Galopin promise you a good time every Wednesday, so welcome aboard.